If you get this wrong, you could lose thousands in tax, or even worse, get sued and have to pay out of your own pocket. Choosing whether you register as a limited company or a sole trader within the music industry isn't just about paperwork. It decides how much control you have, how much tax you pay, and whether or not your personal savings are at risk. One keeps things simple, the other protects your future. One is perfect for freelancers, whereas the other is ideal for bands and other sorts of businesses. Here is how you can decide. Being a sole trader is simple but risky. There's less admin, but it means that your personal assets could be on the line. Whereas with a limited company, there's more control. It's better for scaling, lower tax, legal protection, and more funding opportunities. The right choice for you completely depends on your risk tolerance, income, and future plans. If you're serious about building a music business, you need to get this right. Let's break this down. My name is Gwethan, I'm an entrepreneur and a musician, and my goal with this channel is to share my wisdom and experience to improve your life. So let's talk about the pros and cons of being a sole trader. So it's easy to set up, you just register with HMRC and you're done. This means that there's less paperwork and simpler tax returns. There's also full control, you can earn, spend, and invest as you like. These pros do come with some cons, however. There is unlimited liability, which means that your personal assets are at risk if your company goes into debt. There's also higher taxes. Once you earn over £50,000 in the UK, the tax goes up to 40%. And it's also harder to get funding. You know, banks see limited companies as more legitimate, scalable businesses and are way more likely to give loans and grants to something a bit more established. So who should register as a sole trader? Being a sole trader is perfect if you're a freelancer, you know, freelancing for other companies or agencies or just anything like that, say a sound engineer or a lighting tech or any sort of business that operates as one sole trader, then 100% that's your best bet. Perhaps also a producer that's selling beats online and works by themselves, doesn't hire a team or anybody else, then that could also work. And the third would be a session musician, because typically you're getting hired by other people, right? So if you're mainly only being hired by other companies and freelancing, then 100% a sole trader is right for you. But that's not to say that if you are all of those jobs that I just mentioned, you can't register as a limited company. You know, I started out freelancing, and while I was in the Netherlands, I registered myself as a sole trader to freelance, but then upon expanding back to the UK, I set up the business as a limited company purely just because I knew that I'd be scaling it in the future. I'd be taking on employees and buying assets for the business. So for me, it made a lot more sense. But I have also met artists, you know, that have a team around them that will want to be a limited company ultimately. And I've also met freelancers, you know, that are lighting engineers, tour managers, or anything like that. They're also a limited company. So we'll get into that now. So the pros of being a limited company. First of all, there's limited liability, which is the opposite to a sole trader. So that means if the company goes into debt or it goes under, all of your personal assets are safe and you and the business operate as separate entities. Whereas when you're a sole trader or a freelancer, you operate as one entity, if that makes sense. There's also lower tax rates. Corporation tax is 19%, which is far lower than self-employed. So that's definitely something that you want to consider. And again, a limited company just has more of a professional image about it, and bigger brands or collaborators or investors take you far more seriously if you're registered as a limited company. And again, a limited company comes with its own cons. You know, there's more admin. You have annual accounts, company's house filings, and you also need accountants, which aren't necessarily the worst thing in the world because, you know, an accountant will cost you money and you know, you'll have to invest into that. It's another one of these self-investments, but they can save you so much money. They can save you so much time and just so much legal headache. So while they are expensive, I mean, they're not really expensive because they can save you more money than they cost. They're definitely a worthwhile investment. I highly recommend Momentum Accounting. He's brilliant. He's a friend of mine and he's based in the UK. He's genuinely one of the best accountants I've ever met, and his prices aren't too bad. The next con is the fact that there's less access to personal money, and profits belong to the company and not you. Again, as we mentioned with the limited liability thing, is your money and the business's money are completely separate, which means if you want to take money out of the business into your personal account, you will then have to pay income tax, or if you distribute the money as a dividend, which is essentially a profit distribution, then you pay, I think it's, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's still a lot lower than you what would be with self-employment tax. So what a lot of people do is, as limited company directors, which is what I am, you'll pay yourself a decent salary. Obviously, don't pay yourself like the minimum salary, so you don't pay any tax. Just pay yourself a somewhat decent salary. Not anything crazy, obviously, but something that will, cover your living expenses and at least, and a decent lifestyle, and then pay yourself with dividends or profit distribution sort of at the end of each tax year, or however. That seems to be the best structure to go with. However, again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do not take this as financial advice. Seek an accountant and they will be able to help you with all of that sort of stuff. And with that, there comes stricter rules, which is the third con. Because, again, as I mentioned, you have to keep your personal and the business expenses separate, and you also, there's a lot more paperwork to do with a limited company and tax filing and stuff like that. But again, hire an accountant or seek professional advice, or just, I mean, to be honest, I've been running Hendrick Productions as a limited company for over a year now, and I've not really had to do much. But again, I haven't only just now approached an accountant. So yeah, I've said accountant about 1,000 times, but highly recommend it. Even in just the time that it will save you, it would just be so worth it. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I just got the urge to fiddle with something. So who should go with a limited company? A band with multiple members, 100%, because this means that you can split the money legally and protect each individual within the band. Also, a studio hiring engineers so that you're not personally liable for your employees. As I mentioned, you're both separate entities, but also, again, you're hiring people, you're bringing in employees and hopefully scaling the business. So if you're a studio rather than just a home producer, highly recommend being a limited company. But again, even if you are just a producer at home, it is a great business structure. If you're okay with doing the extra admin work and stuff like that, it can be very, very advantageous. Sorry, so I do recommend. Or a music entrepreneur scaling a business. Whether you've got a merch company or a record label or an events company or just any sort of thing like that. Again, limited company is what you want to be looking in for. So if you have a team, hire people, or make more than 30k a year, a limited company will save you tax and protect your assets. And it seems like more of a legitimate business. You're registered as a company, not just an individual. So for me, even just the feeling of being registered as a legitimate business kind of made me take things a bit more seriously, especially when you have like letters coming through the post from the HMRC and saying that you have to register for this and that. Honestly, it's not too much of a headache. But it's worth it. If you really are serious about being an entrepreneur and scaling your business, if you can't handle the basic operations of setting up a limited company versus a sole trader, it's probably not for you anyway, honestly. So yeah, if you want my advice, again, completely contextual. If you're just a freelancer and you can't be bothered with all of the technical things, then yeah, there's absolutely no reason why you can't register as a sole trader. You're not at a disadvantage or anything like that. And it works for so many people in the industry, so I'm not going to knock that at all. But if you're really taking business seriously and you want to sort of scale and grow to more than just a freelancer, I'm not knocking on freelancers, by the way. I just mean if you actually want to build like an empire, like build something huge, then yeah, 100% limited company. But again, there's no shame in literally going on ChatGPT right this second and saying, this is my business idea. This is what I do. Should I register as a limited company or a sole trader? Or shoot me a message on Instagram and I can give you a hand with that. So yeah, if you got any value out of this or any useful insights, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.